Good morning. What is happening? It is the 12th, Monday the 12th of May. What the fuck? How the fuck is it May already? Madness. But here it goes. Week in the life of me. It's really weird saying that, but this week, mental busy this week. Like most weeks are, to be fair. But this week more so. We are 5 weeks out from the HybridHuman World Championships in Chicago, so over the last couple of weeks I've been trying to get everything in play and in place for the gym, making sure that the gym is going to be running smoothly while I'm away. And a part of that is bringing in some coaches. So I'm actually on my way here now. It's 9 o'clock, just past 9 o'clock, and I'm going to meet a guy that is interested in coming on board. And I think this process is going to be a bit fertile, to be fair. The gym itself, like opening the gym in January and coming from one-to-one to online to then back into one-to-one, it's been a bit of a process, to be honest, let alone then the wee man was born basically 3 weeks after the gym is open. So from January it's been all systems go, but it's been a massive learning curve for me, but also it's been great to be able to implement things the way I've wanted to for so long, and it's been massively rewarding. As well as it being hard, it's been massively rewarding. But I think I'm going to meet a coach here now, and I want the idea and the plan was based on the KPIs was to basically start the hiring coaches between May, June, July and August on different aspects and different disciplines. Like, I don't want to be coming away from coaching because it's something that I enjoy doing, but when you're doing the programming for the gym, coaching the individual clients, client management, because of our systems and how our gym's built, like one of our packages is the clients get managed, and gyms say that they do this, but they don't. They don't do it. They don't do it systematically. They don't do it from a personal aspect, and what they will basically try and say that is personal is by the coach maybe substituting out an exercise based on them being injured or something along those lines, which is complete fucking bullshit. That is not personalization whatsoever, and I can stand on my own 2 feet and basically say that ours is completely systematic and it is personalized because I have fucking built the systems to make sure that it is. So with that, there's a lot of different disciplines that I'm looking for in coaching, and as weird as it may sound to some people, that I don't want everybody to be specialists in a certain field. I want people that I can develop. Like, I've only been in this industry 6 years, and although I spent fucking my whole life in it, from a career standpoint, I've only been in it for 6 years. And one thing that I have done annually is keep up with education and personally develop myself, and it just completely is mind-boggling to me how coaches don't develop themselves and they sit and think that they know everything. They don't. And one of the reasons why I started investing heavily in the personal development is because I'm a person who I need to understand, like, from an absolute surface level as a given, but I need to understand what I'm faced with. And in the early sort of stages of my coaching career, I was started to face with all these different problems I didn't know how to fix. And any coach that is worth their weight in gold, or any coach who is passionate about their job, will tell you that their default is to problem solve, and that is why that there is. You will hear coaches talking about their relationships, or their spouse or their partner talking about their relationships, and basically saying like he or she tries to fix everything, but it's just our default, and that's what it is. And that is the reason as to why I've always been so hell-bent on constantly developing myself. It did start off as like a point that I needed to know the answers to these questions, these problems I was trying to solve. But then it just sort of led down into more like specificity development, which is from my end, like I went down the last couple of years as real like high performance athletes, psychology, how to read data, how to interpret data science, strength conditioning, biomechanics, like everything that you need to be able to be working with high performing people, and that is sort of where I went down the route of. And don't get that context lost. You know, you can still be a high performing individual and not be like a high level athlete representing your country. You can still be a high performing individual. The majority of the people that are training in the gym right now are high performing people. You know, they train 5 days a week and they are top ranking in their businesses, or they own a well successful business, and they deal with the 9 to 5 and they deal with everything else that comes before it and after it. So they're high performing individuals whilst balancing a family. So yeah, like upon selection of coaches, like I'm never going to get it right first time, and I'm under no illusion that I need to get it right first time, and I need to be able to make decisions and take chances on people. And it's a lot easier because, well, at the minute it's easier. I don't really know what the future holds, but I've been able to recruit from internally, which has been great. Like, the benefit of working with so many coaches, being their coach, is that you get to see people from their career perspective, see how hard they work and how driven they are. And you need to empower people like that. And if you have a good enough relationship with them, from a personal standpoint, then that conversation for them maybe to be a coach or to cover some classes is a lot easier. And I'm so thankful to be able to be in that position where I can lean on some of those guys. And yeah, like, we're still in the first 5 months of the business, so of the gym, so everything's still trial and error. And we're away next month. And do you know what, like, I mean, if you had to ask me this question whenever I first started coaching, like, I remember going on my first holiday and coaching whenever I had just started my business, and I was so anxious about going away, and just like, it's like, what's happening with the clients? Are the clients going to be okay? Are they going to leave? Are they not going to leave? You know, what do they need from me? And I think it's just like the element of control that you have when you first start your own business, that you don't really have the belief system in yourself or the trust within the guys, because it's like you need to have time. You need to have time with people. You need to understand that what you do, and if you're a good coach, that you can get results, and if you're good with people, that the people will stand by you. And I've been incredibly lucky with that over the years. And the first year I went all day, it was like, I think I was on my laptop every day, you know, that sort of way. It just wasn't present in the holiday. But you know, slowly as time goes on and you start to build up a bit of trust with your clients, and actually start believing in yourself, knowing that, you know, if you go and take some time off, like your clients take time off, you know, your clients go on holiday. they're not sitting thinking about, like, if I come back, is he going to fill my space? You know what I mean? It's, everyone takes a holiday. You need downtime, and I'll be the first person to be saying to my clients, go and take some time off. Go away from me. I don't want to see you for 2-3 weeks, especially after competition. Like, I'm like, go away. Like, I do not want to see you. You have a life to live outside of this. Absolute elite parking, by the way. Unbelievable. So yeah, like, these are all the sort of things that they were maybe once a concern, and I have to take my past experiences and allow them to basically flow into this new business element that I've got, and this new business venture that I've got. Because if it didn't, and I go back down, go on holiday here next month, and my default is to go back into that way of thinking of like my first trip, then I just haven't learned anything. And you can only control what you control, and the more you try and control, the more chances is that things will just fall apart. You need to let things happen naturally, and if the place burns down, it burns down. it's one of those things. Like, I'm not going to stop living my life just because of the stressors and the pressures of running the business and making it successful and whatever else. But at the same time, I'm in an okay position. 5 months in the business where I'm still looking at and going, well, can I physically and financially afford to take time off? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes, fortunately for me. And it'd be good to then spend some time with the wee man and Rebecca and just completely switch off. So I'm really looking forward to that. So again, we just pulled up here. I'm going to meet this guy here for a quick coffee and see where he's at. And like, this isn't going to be a formal discussion. I just want to know what this guy has in his sights, what he wants to try and achieve within the next sort of 5 to 10 years of the industry, and see how I can help develop this person. Because what I don't want is to be sitting down with coaches and be like, I just want to come in and coach. Like, that does nothing for me. And I get it, not everybody has to be ambitious, but if I'm looking at people now, and I'm looking at people that I want to bring in the future already, 2-3 years down the line from different disciplines, starting to build a team out at the minute. Developers are coming in to do nutrition. I want someone to come in and head up online programming. I want someone to come in and take up gym programming, and it frees me to work with on the business and in the business, and work with our higher end athletes that need my one-to-one attention every day. They just do. If you're working with people at that level, you need to be speaking to them every day, because you need feedback on workouts, you need feedback on how they are, especially coming up to competition prep. So at the minute, what I've been able to do is just basically pencil out hours throughout the week and bring in some of the guys who are going for competition, get their strategy dialed in, and on the build up the competition as well, just get a feel for where they're at, how their body's moving, what they're feeling, how their recovery is, how their nutrition is, how the workouts have been feeling, just catching up with them on a one-to-one basis just as a human, more than anything. So yeah, just going back to that, then the selection of coaches that I'm looking at the minute, as I say, I can't get it all right and I won't get it right, but I have to be able to at least look at a personality and be like, right, okay, like, could they fit in? The clients or the members in the gym are class. Like, probably a vision will say, but we have the best members, and I will lead always with personality. Not that I have an intrinsic fucking personality, or like, I'm not this big massive character or something, but I try to stay true to who I am as a person. And my coaching is a no backdoors approach. If I feel like you're doing something wrong, I will coach you through it, and I'll make sure you're doing it right. I will never, ever, ever drop my coaching standards for anybody. And that the people that I bring in won't always be the same as me, but I don't want them to be the same as me. I want them to be themselves, but I want them to be able to be relaxed, and I want them to be able to get over their way of coaching. And I think that a cue that I might give someone could be completely different to how another coach gives, and theirs could work and mine's doesn't. And that's just articulating conversation and directive coaching. It's not a one size fits all, and something I give you to do over something that another coach gives you to do, theirs could work and mine's couldn't. And that is the beauty of coaching. Some people learn by seeing, other people learn by doing, people learn by reading. Like, there's times where I have to draw things on a whiteboard and stick man, and it's been all the client has ever needed just to see it. So I don't want this to be a mold, like a coaching mold. They have to be able to be themselves, and with obviously coaching morals, because that's going to always come back to the overshadowing of the character or the personality. If I don't know, let's say they're not the funniest person in the world, but if they're a great coach and they can get people through a session, a constructive session, and get results, then the client is 9 times out of 10 happy. The other 1%, 10% is if they can get on and have a bit of crack and all that kind of stuff, which, to be fair, it's probably more than 10%. But yeah, so I'm interested just to see what this guy has in mind for himself and what he wants to do. He's quite well experienced, and I just need to try and navigate about how he fits into the gym. And to be fair, that's one thing that I haven't been short on, is applications of coaches wanting to come and work, which has been great, but some I'm like, there's not a fucking chance. You know, they're just, you have people that are just leeches. Yeah, unfortunately in this industry you have people who are fucking leeches, and they haven't picked up a book since the day that they fucking passed their level 3, which I'm not even making a recommendation that the person has, because in my eyes it is fucking bullshit. Coaching needs to be taught in a physical presence. So it makes no sense to me whatsoever that a fucking coaching certificate that you need to coach in a gym is spent on a fucking computer with an assessment at the end. Makes no sense whatsoever. To be fair, ECA in Belfast probably have the best round course that I've ever seen. Still not a fan of the level 3 in a whole. People are starting to deliver it better, which is fair dues. But yeah, let's see how we get on, and I'll chat back on you soon. Give you the rest of today and how today's going. But this is the Monday ever. It's been 20 degrees all week, and it's groggy and rainy. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But yeah, here we go. Catch up with you soon. Welcome back. So just come back out of the meeting with the coach. Went really well. It was interesting to see and sort of hear where he wants to go with his own career, because as I said, ultimately that's what I want to know. Like, I want to know how much the coaches are willing to develop themselves before I can add anything to it. And then it gives me a bit of a framework and a bit of direction as to where that person could potentially go within the business. And as I said, like, I'm under no illusion that I will never get it right the first time. Maybe I will, but you know, you have to err on the side of caution with these sort of things as well. And with the systems that I've built that work for me, that's not to say that they're going to be workable for a collection of people. Like, I'm fairly confident that they would be, but as I say, like, they work for me and my way of thinking. And I, you know, are they going to be flexible? Are they going to be systematically adaptable for other people? And that remains to be seen. But where we are now, 11:30, Bags is just away out to get her hair done. Her dad come round there and took the wee man. So till now we've done, what have we got? 5 o'clock class done, 6 o'clock class done. Normally, over the last couple of weeks, I would normally try and get a training session done between 7 to 8:30. With the wee man, he's 15 weeks next week, which is bonkers. But the first couple of months, like that hour, we're after the 7 or the 6 a.m. class, come home just after 7, get the wee man's bottle ready, and that was sort of the process for a while there, which was it was hard at the start for a number of reasons. But from a selfish perspective, like, whenever I come home from that class, like, that's prime time for me, where I would have been straight at the laptop and getting things done, emails and getting ahead of the week. And with like 4 a.m. get up time, breakfast, coffee, water, all that kind of stuff, and then 5 a.m. class, 6 a.m. class, everything in me riding the energy of the people in the class is like, right, 7 o'clock, let's go. But like, it was 7 o'clock, come home, wee man, it was like feeling like this mad slump, and it was mad. It took me a couple of months to really try and feel that also was being progressive, and just giving back that hour within the morning to either sleep on or get herself ready or do things that was invaluable for her. So that was part of the sacrifice that a lot of people don't speak about with that. But over the last, you ever get this? Milk. So over the last couple of weeks, he's been sleeping unbelievable, like sleeping through the night. It's been fucking class. Our sleep has been better, our moods have been better, appetite, all that kind of stuff has just improved massively, alongside obviously the good weather as well. So last couple of weeks hasn't been too bad. Touch wood. These things always have a way of somehow biting in the ass. But yeah, so that's where we're at. I'm gonna get some breakfast here now. Normally I probably would have that by now, but because I pushed my training session on to like later on in the afternoon before the guys can do some testing, I'm gonna have some eggs and stuff here now just to get that out of the way. I've already had some carbs, have like had sourdough and jam and stuff this morning, and some fruit, and then I'm gonna have some eggs, some toast and some bacon, and get that into me, and then I'll run like way later on. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm in a deficit at the minute, which it's been a while since I've been in a deficit, to be fair. But I've about 4 kilo to lose. Not for any sort of mad reasons, like over the last load of months, because of the business and the wee man like diet. I always keep the diet relatively good, to be fair. Like I'm never gonna put on any mad amounts of weight. You're never gonna really see me like out of shape as such, with context. But yeah, I just want to shorten things up a wee bit. I'm starting to find a flow with my training, which I never had from basically October until February there. Just trying to get the gym up and running. It was just a sacrifice that I had to make. But now I'm starting to find a bit of flow with my training, and everything's starting to move well again. Well, it was until I fucking played in a charity football match the other week and done my ligaments in my ankle. So that put me out of running for 3 weeks, which was shit, but this is the 4th week now. I was able to get back running last week, and things aren't too bad. They're not too bad. They're not amazing, but they're not too bad. So I'm going to do like an easy 8k tempo run later on, just keep it zone 3, and then see where I'm at with that. Last week I've done a couple of 5ks and a couple of like threshold sessions going between hours and stuff like that, just trying to build the capacity back up again. But I think it's just more confidence now than anything else. The recovery's been good on it, which is good. Climbed Donner there the weekend, which went actually way better than I expected with it, so that's a plus. So yeah, but there's a lot going on. A lot going on today. After I get some food here now, I'm going to get stuck into some development works. Monday I always try to leave for some of the courses I'm doing at the minute. Some like education work. So I'm really into endurance protocols here at the minute, and I've nearly finished a course that I'm doing with that. So I'm in the latter stages of that, and then I have a couple of things to tidy up with some of the high rocks work, and just overlook a few things that I'm building out systematically for the next season, and taking some learnings from this season and applying it into next season, and basically trying to get ahead of the game with that, see if we can get some sort of framework for it. So everything's moving well, but yeah, get some food, get stuck into some education work here, and then head a workout later on, go for a nice run later on. Hopefully the weather brightens up a bit, and then get in for some testing, and then we have a 6 o'clock class, and then we have a 7 o'clock class. So busy Mondays. What is happening? So just come back in from the 5 AM and 6 AM high rocks classes. Finished last night. We'll have the 6 PM and 7 PM classes last night. 7 PM class is a beginner's class, and they're doing unbelievably well, but unreal. Like, still love doing that sort of stuff, like coaching and building people up from the ground up. I think it's feedback from me to know that's exactly what it is that I want to be doing, and I think that's one of the factors, based on one of the questions that I was asked so much whenever I sort of came away from one-to-one and went online, and then left online to basically open up a gym. And a question I kept getting is like, why are you doing away with that freedom? Do you know what, like, I got that freedom before, and it is freedom, but you can get it again. Like, you can always get it again. It's like money. You can lose money, you can get money again, but I don't see it as like a limiting factor of the actual job. And the fulfillment is one of the reasons why I get back to it. But a few other ones as well. I think being a natural entrepreneur and like wanting to do things and solve problems, like I've been in positions with other, not just other gyms, but other workplace environments where you want to have your input taken respectively in that sort of way. And as an entrepreneur, I will always try to see if you can do things differently or disrupt or see if there's a better way of doing things, and that's just the way it is. And you have to lean on that, you have to fuel that, and the only way to do that is to see things through. And that's definitely something that over the last couple of years I've just constantly thought about. What if I did have my own place? Would I be able to do this? Would I do things this way because they're not being done this way with the place I'm in? And I think you have to lead with that. So yes, the fulfillment and coaching people and being around people is definitely a factor, but wanting to do things and see if things work and trial and test things is another one. And then just leading on top of that is like I firmly believe that the systems that I have that nobody else has, because I've built them. And yes, okay, whilst they may work for me, like we're at this stage now where we're starting to build them out a bit bigger, and we will find out if they can work for other places and work for other people as well. And that's the stage where we're taking the development process to. So hopefully have more on that very, very soon. But yeah, Tuesday, so it's now 7:30. This is my ideal hour to train, it really is. So I'm going to go out here and do the run that I never got to yesterday, because I ended up nearly 4.5 hours just sitting on the computer yesterday, just doing my coursework and stuff, and I didn't want to stop the module. I was so engrossed in it, and the work needed done at the end of the day as well, so I didn't want to leave it. But I hadn't had a rest in like 5 days either, so I was happy enough. I was just picking up a day, so we're going to do an 8k tempo run today, and I'm not expecting great things because the ankle's still not 100%. It's better, but I mean, it's still not where I want it to be. It's still not 100%. So we'll see how this goes today. And then we have check-in days, so bi-weekly check-ins, Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. And so big block of check-ins. Go and see Jade. We're meeting Jade for a 1-to-1 today. See how she's getting on, see how her paces are feeling, see how her power and her strength and her technique work and her station work, and just get a catch up. It's not like I'm not bringing her in to be like, right, we're going to do this amazing training session today. It's just a catch up. That's all it is, and that's all it needs to be. And where she's at in her season, at the back end of the season, like, you shouldn't be trying to change an awful lot. It's more about maintenance. It's more about maintenance and psychological preparation more than anything, especially with being the Worlds. But she has had a great season. Like, she got a roll down invitation to the Worlds, and unbelievably deserved. Like, she had 3 races this season so far. This will be her 4th maiden season, World Championships. Rookie season, World Championships, same as Lauren last year. And she has been absolutely great. Progress every single race, taking the feedback, implementing it, strategy, like really, really good at nailing strategy. And today's just an opportunity to get eyes on her and see what her body language is, see how she's interpreting the workout, see what sort of way that she's interpreting her own data. Is she coming away with going, maybe I could have done this and this and this, or that felt good, I might, how do I take this and put it into the race? It's not for me to tell them. If I just tell them all the time, then they can't think on their own 2 feet. I will want them to tell me because of how I program the workouts, and it will lead to a conversation. But that is what we're there for today, just to see how she's getting on, see if there's anything she really needs from me, and just making sure everything is going the way it needs to be. And as I said, the worst thing you can do here now is just try and change everything. The fitness is there, the conditions are, the capacities are. Now it's just about fine tuning and just maintenance. It really, really is, because the majority of these athletes have been training like periodically now from this time last year. So there's times as to when things change, but right now it's just not one of those times. So we'll go and we'll see how she gets on. Then after that, I'll come back over, get some lunch, and then we have a meeting with the council, which has been an ongoing meetings, which I don't say that in like a negative sense. They have been fucking great. They really, really have been great with helping me and helping the business and allowing me to basically try and navigate a few things. But we're in partnership with them with a few different projects. So today, we will see basically how one of these projects is going to move on and try and get a pathway for it. And then also the one thing that I've been fighting for on the back end of everything is the funding. I want the girls to have funding going out to Worlds. Like, they deserve it. They're representing their country at the end of the day. And whenever I took the sort of proposal to the council, they were open then and invited us to apply, which is basically what needs to happen. But the problem is, because High Rocks don't have like a national governing body, it's a bit murky. So what I actually had to do was contact High Rocks and ask them for a specific invitation to the Worlds as such, because the way High Rocks do it is they send you an email with, but like, congratulations, you've now qualified for the Worlds, click this link and book your ticket. That is it. There's no personalization to it. So they basically needed to have in details like where they qualify, the time, what age group, where they're competing at in World Championships, what dates, where they're staying, all this kind of stuff. So we got all that, which took about 6 weeks from High Rocks, because I emailed everybody who had High Rocks attached to their name, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, emails. They all got it. And then one person got back to me, a guy called Ralph Ewan, shout out to Ralph, legend. He got back to me, who's head of the 365 Academy, and he then introduced me to someone who introduced me to a girl called Mintra Tilly, who is actually the person who developed the High Rocks format and designed the High Rocks format, and she provided us with the letter, legend. And we sent the letter, the council accepted it, and then it was declined pending further investigation and the grant aid. And the further investigation was like, we have to prove that they're representing Northern Ireland. So it turns out that last year at Nice, I had taken a photo of Lauren and myself at the Nations Wall, which is basically a big wall with all the countries that are being represented and the list of athletes underneath it. Each time we're literally just standing pointing at the name or something. And we sent a photo of Lauren with her Northern Ireland jersey that High Rocks again presented her with, and then I had a screenshot of like the tally, the medal tallies of like gold, silver and bronze, and then all the countries below it, just like you would have in the Olympics. I sent all three over. It was just like, will this suffice? Because I had no other way of proving, and if I had to go through this whole High Rocks thing again, I think it would have just been too close to the cutoff date. So they accepted it. Well, I think they accepted it. We're going to find out today. Hopefully they get the result back today. Fingers crossed on whether they were successful in the grant. Because they didn't ask me to do this. Like, the way I see it is, these are my athletes, and if I can remove the financial barrier to competition or World Championships, for example, if you remove that on someone's shoulders who is working class, family, mum, whatever, the application that they can give to their training is a much better application. The application they can give to their recovery is unbelievably better, because you're removing that sort of systemic and neurological fucking sympathetic stress that you're applying to that body of someone having to worry about how they're going to get to the other side of the world. That's how I see it. You're going to get better from them. So it's a no-brainer for me to fight for it. They had no clue right up until last month I was even doing that, and they didn't need to know until I need personal details from them, because I was hoping to just be like, here, listen, these are going to pay for this and whatever. But that's where we're at with that. And then after that, we have a meeting with High Rocks, which I'm really excited about, working with High Rocks on a few different projects at the minute that will hopefully strengthen the relationship with High Rocks in Northern Ireland, but also strengthen the relationship with High Rocks and HybridHuman brand. So really, really excited to see how that manifests today. Yeah, there's a lot riding on that, but yeah, looking forward to that actually. And then what do we have after that? Stoopsy's coming up. Physio that I work with, he's coming up with have a look at Aaron. Aaron hasn't been able to run this World Championship prep, unfortunately. And her adaptation process and being able to navigate around everything has been unbelievable, to be like unbelievable. So we'll see how she's getting on and see how her body is responding to the rehab, and we'll see where we're at. But yeah, all systems go. And then we have Big Mackie's coming in later on, get some testing done. He's doing Byran at the weekend. And then we have the Enduro, which is on tonight, which is a 90-minute high rock session that we run on a Tuesday and on a Friday evening for the guys. Unbelievable session. Sometimes I'll jump in with it, just depending on the numbers in the class, and see where I'm at that week with my training and see if it allows for it. But yeah, busy day, busy week, to be fair. Really busy week. But this is what it is, and this is what it takes. She's actually going to take the wee man the baby yoga today. So the sun's out, he's out, she's out, everybody's good. Get some dinner put on tonight, and I'll keep you posted on everything with High Rocks and how these meetings go. Hopefully I'll be able to chat to you soon about like the different projects and different things I've got going on with them, because it is exciting, and I don't want to speak too soon on because nothing is in concrete just yet, but we're making progress, we're making headway on things, and yeah, I'll keep you posted on everything. Nice and snappy. Not on, good. Good job, relax. Wednesday, fucking slump day, really fucking feeling it, to be honest. Absolutely burnt out. Busy last week into a busy social weekend, into like 3 days already in this week, and I'm feeling it. Like, I had to go for like a 40-minute nap there. Just things catching up on me, and this day just feels like I've got so much done, but I feel like there's just so much more still to do. The coffee shop, to be fair, is the coffee shop and the gym was becoming a real sticking point. I didn't really know what way to go with it, and the whole thing was that there was a coffee shop coming in initially, and the idea around that was I wanted someone who was reputable and someone who had a decent brand, so that we could basically piggyback off their branding and get some eyes in and things like that. But as time has went on, it's the deal that I've given the guys was unbelievable. Like the 6-month collaboration deal with no lease, no rates, no electric, no water, everything included. They basically had to come set up, like fitted out basic, and rode off into the sunset. But as time has went on, the demand for a coffee shop in Dundonald, I am under no naivety with it, because you cannot get a nice coffee in Dundonald. You just can't do it. And I know that there's a massive market for that. So I was really like stuck between, do I get a bean to cup at the minute and put some nice coffee in it and make sure that the members are happy and let it be self-serve, and like that's fine, there's no issues with that whatsoever, or do I go down the barista route and spend on fitting it out, making it nice, and then having to like man it? But at the minute, like, my hours are more than capped, so I'm like, how do I can't, like, I'm not in a position to do that. So I want the coffee shop to be its own entity within, obviously within the gym space, because the room is so big and the opportunity is so big. I want it to be a separate entity. I want the public to be welcome in it, even though it's within the gym space essentially. But if I do it right and I market it right, it can be its own thing, and that was the idea of it. So over the last while, I've sort of mulled it over as I do it in the cup short term, and then do a barista long term and get the revenue in and things like that, and see where it takes me. But had a conversation with one of my mates, and now is we're going to do it in partnership, which is, it's in my eyes, it's a win-win for me, because you know, we're 50-50 on it, and 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing right now. And he's passionate about it, and we have a vision for it, and it works. It's a good idea, and we have everything drawn down, everything put to paper, and it just has legs. And 50% of the stress and the planning and the accumulative hours that need to go into it is better than me being 100% in. And then it also gives me the opportunity from expenditure to do it at 50% of the capacity of what I was going to do it at in terms of finances. So it frees that up a bit, and it's better for me, because I don't want the opportunity to be lost on not being able to drive public eyes to it. And with this opportunity, then it gives me that. So today was about like figuring out layout and figuring out a couple of different bits and pieces with it, coffee suppliers and roasters and things like that. So it's been a good day. It's been a great day actually. And the application for the grant that the guys were going for was declined basically today, which they basically said that High Rocks isn't the sport. And they said because it's not doesn't have an official governing body and it's a brand. Feel for the guys, because we've fought for it for so long. But I said to him at the very start, you have never had it. Like, no one has ever said that you're getting this, so don't expect it. And that way you won't be let down. But it's just I don't know. It feels like a battle loss essentially, and you know, 5 years, 6 years down the line, it might be something completely different whenever High Rocks actually is governed with their IOC application. So I'll see what happens, but not counting our chickens with it. But as much as it was a great day, that came through. As I said, we never had it, so we don't feel like we've lost it. So that's take a positives from it. We have Erin and Snoopsy came in yesterday, physio, to see how she was getting on, making real good progress with that. Had Jada in yesterday, everything's moving really well with her. Mentally, she's in a really good place, probably the best place I've seen her. Not that she ever struggled mentally, but she's starting to, now that she's got her internal success of her goal of wanting to qualify for Worlds this year, you can now see that she's starting to move the chips in her head and starting to align things, and things are starting to make sense. She's starting to become like competitive minded. She's starting to become competitive minded, and she's starting to go into that way of thinking, of strategy, and you know what this really means for her. And you can see her doing the work mentally, which is unbelievable. So 5 a.m. class this morning, 6 a.m. class this morning. Got a run in today. The run was great. Yesterday's run was not great. High heart rate, like it kept its zone 3, but it was high and it was at a slow pace. I just couldn't work out what was going on, and then I looked at my stuff last night and my cadence was off by about 5 to 8 steps per minute, which I work better with a higher cadence and less power when it comes to like zone, like lower zone work, like zone 3 tempo work. So I went out today, went back into my cadence and nearly dropped 20 seconds per kilometre, which I was fucking buzzing with, because it's like corrective, you know, it's corrective measures. So to be able to implement it and take the data away from it, it made me feeling good today. So got that in, and then we have had a meeting there with one of the guys who's coming over to do some of the fit out and just talk about a couple of ideas about the changing rooms and stuff like that. So it's another thing we need to be looking at. And then we have the 6 p.m. and the 7 p.m. beginners class night. So gonna get some chicken here. Sun's out, barbecue season. Like, we never cook anything in the house whenever the sun's out, and I'm just waiting for it to heat up. Should be there now. So I get some chicken on here and get ready to take on tonight. Tomorrow we have a day, so we're catching up with Lauren tomorrow upon her World Championships prep. So catch up with her tomorrow. I have a meeting with the council tomorrow, which will be interesting off the back of today's result, because I've already received an email from them basically like, can't wait to catch up with you tomorrow. And I think it's about like saving grace, because they've said no to this, but they also want me for other things. And then the meeting with Hyrox Thursday went really, really well, and we've scheduled some more meetings for Chicago in 4 weeks to catch up in person, which will be cool, because I've never met these guys face to face. Well, I've met some of them, but I haven't met the ones I've been dealing with recently. We'll speak a wee bit more about that next week. But yeah, so tomorrow catch up with Lauren, Jordan, and then catch up with him for his strategy for Berlin. Catch up with meetings with the council, check-ins. Busy day tomorrow, the end of the week, and then we might get a bit of a Friday morning debrief before this goes out. But yeah, still trying to work out like angles on what to show you and what not to show you and stuff like that, because yeah, there's just a lot, and still trying to navigate it. So yeah, tired, feeling. Yo, what's happening? Right, we're now on Thursday, and not gonna lie to you, I had maximum 2 hours sleep last night. Maximum 2 hours sleep. Just, do you know what it is? There's been so much business development this week, and in the past, when you get to this stage, and whenever I get to this stage of like business development weeks, when there's a lot of stuff going through your head, I struggle to switch off, and then it fucks up my sleep. Let alone it was fucking 25 degrees last night in my bedroom, so that was not ideal. And like this morning when the alarm went 4 a.m, I was like, Jesus. And I was like putting myself into the shower type of thing. But you know what? Like, that's one thing I'll always give kudos to the people in the gym. Like, they lift me up. They massively lift me up. And it just sets me off. So in for 5 a.m, 6 a.m. class, and then had Lauren in, catching up with her, seeing how she is with her World Championships prep, and things are going well with that. She's in a good place. Like, her body's in a really good place. It's probably the best I've seen her. And that's what I was saying the other day about feedback. Like, the best feedback you'll ever get is seeing someone in person. Like, seeing how their body looks, seeing how their muscles look. Because when you're at that sort of level, your body will give you the feedback that you need in terms of if you're refreshed, re-energized, recovered. It will give you that look. And she looks great. She absolutely looks great. And our focus for her actually is trying to get some weight on her. So we're trying to change a few of our protocols, which is working, which is really, really good. So really happy with that. But what do we have? So had a big block of check-ins there this morning. A big block of check-ins this morning. A couple of the new guys that started in the gym. It was basically their first week of check-ins. So I always like to see that, because they have a check-in date, and then when they hit it first time and they get into the sequence and get into the system of doing it, it's the ball rolling. But then not only that, is you get a lot of the problems that they're facing, and you're able to debunk them and basically give them an action plan moving forward. And then that's when the magic starts to happen. Because my way of coaching is I will educate everybody so that they essentially understand. And the way I look at it is, the more you understand, the more sustainable your results are. And that is just the way that I do things. And if you don't want to come to understand, then it ain't going to work. Because with health, like health and fitness professionals will bang the drum in health. They really will, right? But if you want to give someone's health, you want to give them health, long-term health, you got to give them the tools to be able to do it long after the relationship and the service between me and a client discontinues. And it's a nutrition, habit building, and how to look after your body health from a health standpoint. It should be a lifelong skill that you can pass down through generations, just the way it is. Like changing a fucking plug, changing a bulb, learn how to tie your shoelaces. These things, these skills that we can pass on through generations, exact same shit. So, yeah, been off a bit of a tangent there, but anyway, what have we got here? Going over now to meet the girl that I'm bringing on as a nutritionist and a coach. Built out a framework for her, so I'm going to go over and basically see where she's at with that, and catch up with her and see how she's getting on. Big exciting time of her, and get her on full time, which would be good. Hi mate, alright. And then once we have that, then we're going to make our way down to meeting with the council and see about this, see about one of these projects that they want to work with me on. We get that done, and then we're straight back, meeting at 4:30 with Jordan to get his strategy built out for Berlin. So it's all systems go today. And to be fair, when it was started this day, it was one of those days where I was like, fuck me. Like, the workload was just mad, but Bax gave me a good couple of hours there without the wingman. Allowed me just to pile on and get things done. So I'm actually ahead of schedule a wee bit, so I'm on my way over here to the gym, just about to walk in through the door. And actually, as we've just been chatting, the coffee supplier has just messaged me. So, well, potential coffee supplier has just messaged me about meeting up. So that's interesting. And yeah, so things are going to go ahead with the coffee side of things, as we spoke about yesterday. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll keep us all updated. But tomorrow is basically Friday, and this video is going to drop, or this vlog is going to drop. And do you know what? I've actually never realised how much I fucking do in a week until I started trying to document it all. It became a bit of a fucking melt at times, but yeah, here we are, into the Mecca. Phase 1 of the Mecca anyway. So yeah, apologies about this being on the phone, but I'm not going to be walking down the fucking street holding my Sony. It looks like a fucking pipe bomb. But yeah, so everything's moving well this week. Business development has created some new stress, but good stress. Like, I'm not stressed out about it. It's just the cogs are now firing up again. And through this whole process, you know, I broke down this whole project into different phases. And phase 1 is essentially here, what you're looking at, the upstairs gym. And you have to do that, especially when you're doing it by yourself. Like, ideally, I would love to just roll out the red carpet and be like, ta-da, everything's done, but life doesn't work that way. And by having phases and by having KPIs, it's just allowed me to sort of systematically break it down into ways that have been achievable for me to accomplish what I need to accomplish. And do you know what? A massive part of that is the patience with the clients and the members. They have been really, really patient with some of the things like changing rooms and coffee shop, and just trying to improve their overall experience within this place, which has been great. So phase 2 is changing rooms, coffee shop, carpets, aesthetics downstairs, paint, signage, loads of plants and shit. So yeah, bit of a real business development week. Not every week's like this, you know. I'll go through some weeks where, you know, maybe I won't have any business development, or what will feel like I don't have any business development, but things are still happening in the background. But this has just been one of those weeks. And training this week, we're Thursday, I've had 2 runs in, 2 weight sessions in. Today, I'm going to take a bit of a rest day today because it's just time getting back from the meeting with the council to get the strategy session done with Jordan to then go straight into the 6 p.m. class. So tomorrow I'm going to jump in the enduro class tomorrow night, so I'll basically tick that box, and then I'll probably jump in on the group WOD on the Saturday and the strength session on the Sunday. So that'll be 90 minutes enduro session, 2 runs, followed by 2 strength sessions, followed by a conditioning session, another conditioning session on the Saturday, and then some work, some maybe like high rocks work on the Sunday, which will be a fucking good week with 2 rest days and all the stuff we'll be able to get done. So fingers crossed, get some good news here later on with the council, keep us updated on that, and then we will aim to finish and wrap this up for a week of stuff tomorrow. So yeah, chat soon. Yo, what's the crack? Friday, favourite day of the week, and what a week it has been. To be fair, this week has been just constant business development, as well as coaching, as well as client management, as well as everything else that goes on in between. But this week, more so than any other week, has been a lot of business development. And not every week's like this, but that sort of stuff, it needs to happen, because that is the stuff that's going to help grow the brand. That is things and projects that are going to help really cement our place in the local market before we even start thinking about doing anything on a global stage. That's obviously a while away yet, but I mean, there's a lot that needs to happen. And as we sort of round up this week, you've 42 check-ins done, you've got 16 meetings done on things outside of the business, not including consultations. And as well as it's been massively progressive, there's a lot of no's. The girls got the rejection from the grant aid application, which we fought for months for. There has been some projects that I was in on or bidding for and didn't get those. There has been, clients not wanting, potential clients, prospects, maybe not wanting to take on the service, guys wanting to join, but maybe not wanting to join, people leaving. It's part and parcel of that. Like, it's just what happens. But this week has been massive in terms of business development, and as well as there's negatives, there've been some unbelievable breakthroughs on some projects. Like the high rock stuff at the minute is massively long term. Basically what we're working with them is, last year we were made aware that they had an application in for the IOC, which is the International Olympics Federation. So they're trying to get into the Olympics. Now, what I know about that and what in my research is that you have to be able to show brand growth, and you have to be able to show sport growth and sustainability in your sport. And a massive part of that is to show grassroots. So High Rocks last year started a project called the High Rocks Young Stars, which is basically looking at kids and how you then take the system. Once you get into kids, then you have sustainability within the sport, which is one of the key considerations and the criteria for actually applying for the Olympics. So upon this, what I had done is I put together a 3 to 5 year proposal. Olympic application can take anywhere between 5 to 10 years to go through, because you need to have time to meet all of these different criteria. And with High Rocks only really being 7, 8 years old now, then they're only really starting to look at this type of thing. And I basically put together a 3 to 5 year proposal, sent it off to them. here's where we're at. They're giving me sort of the go-ahead to trailblaze this and see where we're at. So the contacts that I have within the council and the projects that I was already working with them with, then they wanted to know would I be able to go into the schools. And the idea is then once you have it in schools, primary schools, then you go to high schools. Once you go to high schools, then you go to colleges. Then once you go to colleges, you go to universities, and you start to create a pathway of what the athlete can actually look like. And because the Olympics then is obviously a national embodiment of sports, i.e. people represent their country at it, then it means to say that there's a pathway and a foundation of how the athlete can progress through the sport in terms of actually representing their country. Whereas now they select a team captain, and the team captain picks, and there's nothing wrong with that. It works. Like I'm not disputing that. But if they want to cement their place or they want to have success in application for the Olympics, then this is what they need to show. And if you look at any other sport within the Olympics, they all have that, and that is the reason why, because it shows sustainability within sport. So basically, yeah, I put a proposal together, sent it off to them, they accepted it, they give me basically the go-ahead to start to trailblaze this and roll it out. So on the stroke of the next school year, September, you're going to have 6 schools, 20 kids per school, getting coached once a week for 4 weeks on the Young Stars curriculum, which is slightly scaled, well, massively scaled in terms of what we would know as a high rocks race. And then on the 5th week, then they would come to an intersport competition, and it would be the first of its kind in that capacity worldwide. And then it's evidence, it's feedback, and it's data that we can then take and give to high rocks. Now, you're thinking, why are you doing this? Because it's the long game. It's just the long game. Like, we have built this facility, and we are a High Rocks affiliate, just the way a lot of other gyms are. But we are not secluded to just High Rocks. And I love the sport, and the people in here love the sport. Not all the members in here just do High Rocks, by the way. But we do love the sport, and Northern Ireland is massively underrepresented when it comes to High Rocks, because you don't have an option to select. Basically, that's where you're racing for. So what happens is, naturally then people start to just represent GB or have to select GB or Ireland, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I do not want this sport to be clouded with political fucking agendas, and it shouldn't be. But with not having that data, the High Rocks, I've asked that question, they don't have the data of who's representing who. Because of that, then it's already secludes it. So this is the long game for HybridHuman. It's also the long game for the sport in Northern Ireland. And it doesn't take anything away from me. I mean, the meetings I had this week were like 40 minutes and 45 minutes. And I have a meeting with them when I go to Chicago, like that face-to-face, it's easy. They're giving me the equipment, they're giving me what I need out of it. It's great for the brand to be able to piggyback off it, and everyone's a winner. So as much as it is a long game, it's also an opportunity. That's all it is. And you know, it might come this time after doing this the first year that it might just not work into what our business model is, but that's fine. It's trial and error, and it keeps the door open. It keeps the door open. So that's where that is. But then also from High Rock's perspective, there's a lot of different things that we're trying to work with them with, and they're open to it, and they're meeting with us about systems and things like that. Because my biggest concern right now is if everybody can just pay an affiliate, what is the difference between a training club and a performance club? Because there is centres and there is commercial gyms that are affiliates, and they don't even have a systemized approach in terms of how people are trained. My concern with that is they're actually not getting ready. Their assessment for readiness for a race isn't being ticked. And then that sort of differentiates between a training club and a performance club and whatever else. So that's something else that we're working on them with and trailblazing that. But then, as much as all that sounds great, and it's High Rocks this and High Rocks that, there's so many other things you're dealing with on a weekly basis. And the big focus now is to go on to phase 2 within here. Changing rooms, coffee shop. Made a decision this week that the coffee shop is basically going to be a 50-50 partnership with me and one of my mates, where before a brand was going to come in, we were going to piggyback off their branding to try and get some eyes on the place. And initially at the start of the year, it sounded like a great idea because it took a lot of work off my shoulders where I didn't need to do anything, and the clients would have been happy and the members would have been happy. However, it came with its own restrictions, and as time went on, it just became not a good deal from my perspective. So the idea then was actually just to stick, really do it, to kit it out really nice, have it a really nice place where the guys would go, but put a bean to cup in for 6 months until it built up a bit, and then bring in a barista. But now bringing somebody in and go and partner with them, then that just splits the workload, but also splits the demand on me to actually be there, which is a win-win for me. So yeah, that's something else that we're looking at. But this, as I said, this week has been primarily business development, which is not sexy, but hopefully next time I'll show you the ins and outs of the actual coaching, the systems, what we do on a day-to-day basis with the clients, the problems they face, the problems I face, and then we start to show some training modalities and start looking at the guys who are getting ready for Worlds and what they're going through, trying to encapsulate them and show a bit into their lives as well as this, because you can always get this from my perspective, but I think it's nice that we start to bring in some of the guys and start to get a feel about what their perspective is of in here. But yeah, hopefully you'll be able to take something away from this week. Probably at least 5 or 6 times I went to record something, and either the fucking mic's been dead, the camera's been dead, not enough space in the memory card, you name it, it has fucking happened. I swear to God, it has happened. So, I'll catch you soon.